Seeberger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Senator Swedzinski for all his hard work in bringing us this excellent bill. So much good work has been done, and this bill does so much for students and schools and teachers. But I'm going to be voting for this amendment today, and I'm going to tell you why. Teaching is an honorable and noble profession. Being a teacher truly is a calling. It's a job that just about everyone thinks they can do, but I say it over and over again, not everyone can teach. Teaching is a craft. It's the ability to deliver knowledge to students. It's more than lecturing and then handing out a worksheet. I know this because I'm a teacher. In 2012, after 16 years of working as a trial lawyer, I went back to school to become a teacher. I entered that program already having a bachelor's degree in English and a law degree from Boston University School of Law. At the time I received my bachelor's degree in 1991, I was just a few credits shy of getting my teaching credentials. It just wasn't something I wanted to do in my 20s. And when I returned to school to become a teacher in my 40s, I found the process astoundingly time-consuming and expensive. It took me 4 years, Mr. President, paying graduate-level credits just to obtain my licensure. 4 years. And after 4 years and about $50,000 into the process, I still had no degree. I just had my teaching license. It took another 2 years for me to get my actual master's degree in teaching. During the process of obtaining my teaching license, my cohorts and I continually remarked about these requirements. And we said, this just feels like incredibly expensive hoops for us to jump through. And they were. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 classes that were useful in developing my teaching practice, and the rest were just expensive boxes that need to be checked. I came out of that process frustrated with the requirements and quite vocal about the barriers that existed to qualified teachers getting into the profession. After I received my teaching license, the tiered licensing system went into effect. And this system opens the door to folks entering the teaching profession without having to go through the expensive and time-wasting process that I went through. Because of the teacher prep program that I went through, I qualified as a Tier 4 teacher, which is the license I now hold, and which is the highest level of teaching licensure. I am a full-fledged, fully licensed 5 through 12 communications arts lit teacher in the state of Minnesota. And I have 10 years boots on the ground experience in the classroom teaching middle school and high school English. It's the best job I've ever had, it's the hardest job I've ever had, and it's one I hope to return to someday. I was glad to see the tiered licensing system be implemented in Minnesota. It reduces barriers to entering the profession so that not only well-to-do white suburban moms in their 40s have the resources to go through the teacher prep program. The pathway that exists, allowing a Tier 2 teacher to move to a Tier 3 teacher upon 3 years of teaching and evidence of summative teacher evaluations that don't put or keep them in an improvement plan, is an effective path. This is a good thing. I've had conversations with the bill author and others trying to understand, why are we trying to get rid of this really effective and wonderful path? And I have not heard a good reason. Senator Duckworth was correct. Senator Pratt was correct. When you're a Tier 2 teacher, when you're teaching in the schools, professional development is built into your school day. You go to professional development, you get the suicide awareness training, you get the behavioral health training, you get the mental health training, you get all the training in PD. It's baked into your day. Another argument was, well, a teacher can go through the portfolio process. It's really slick. It's a great way to do it. And after that, Mr. President, I went and I looked up the process for licensure via portfolio guidelines, the 2023 version, and I read through it, and it wasn't slick to me. It's not an easy process. And it says it's not an easy process. In multiple spaces in this brochure, it says this is a time-consuming process, a rigorous process, and stresses just how hard it is to go through this portfolio process. I view this as a barrier, and I would encourage members to look through this and see if you can understand the process and whether it's slick. The rationale, another thing I heard, is that we need to return teaching to a noble and respected position. It's to ensure that we get highly qualified folks in the classroom, and it's in part to weed out the folks who think teaching is easy and anyone can do it. But in reality, it continues an elitist culture that turns away highly qualified and wonderful teachers who could provide greater representation in our classrooms. I am confident that preserving this pathway will not open the door to unqualified folks. The opposite's going to happen. It will attract just the type of person we need in the classroom, those who have a passion to teach and those who are called to do the work. After 3 years in the classroom, you're going to know whether or not it's right for you. And the people in your district and in your school will know whether you're an effective teacher. The opposite of that is a person who's got 3 years and tens of thousands of dollars invested in a teacher prep program. By the time they realize it's not for them, it's too expensive to cut their losses. They're going to keep moving on. And I would argue we get even more unqualified, not great teachers through that system. So members, I will be voting yes to this amendment because I believe strongly in offering fewer barriers to getting qualified folks into the classroom and providing greater representation when it comes to teaching our students. Thanks, Mr. President.